All right, friends, as you can see, the 5-string is all fired up and ready to go. So to all my 5-string friends and neighbors out there, verily I say unto thee, let's do this. Hello, friends and neighbors. Welcome back to the Brownstone. Today, I have three essential major pentatonic shapes for the 5-string bass. In fact, I have 3 shapes that will cover all 5 strings, but I have a way to help you to remember these 3 shapes by using 3 smaller shapes. So let's get into the 3 smaller shapes, because if you are familiar with the pentatonic scale, you will know these shapes already. But I will review them just in case you might not know. They're very simple. If I go to C major, right? I'm just going to play with my fingers in a 4-fret span from the 2nd fret to the 5th fret. Can you see that? Now I do that. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to make that stretch. I'm just assigning 1 finger per fret to let you know where these notes are going to be located. So this first pattern is a very simple major pentatonic scale, where if I start with my 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, that's the note C, volume, that's the note C, and then with my 4th finger playing the 5th fret, that's the D, the 2nd note of the pentatonic scale. Here my 1st finger is playing the 3rd note of the scale, which is E. Then my little finger, I skip the 4th note of the major scale and play the 5th note of the major scale, which is the 5th fret of the D string. Then I go back to the 2nd fret of the G string and play the 5th fret of the G string. The notes are C, D, E, G, A, and then I'm back to C. Now, if you're dealing with that 4-fret span, then maybe the numbers will be easier for you to remember, because these are the fingers that I'm using to play this pattern. It's 2, 4, 2nd finger, 4th finger, and then 1st finger, 4th finger for the last 2 strings. That's the first pattern. We've talked about this before, so I hope you remember it. Now, that's the first pattern for the major scale, the major pentatonic scale. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you another pattern, same scale but a different fingering, where before we had the first 3 notes of this scale on 2 different strings. For the second pattern, I'm going to play the first 3 notes on the same string. Those are just the dots, right? The first dot, the 2nd dot, and the 3rd dot on the A string. That means I've got the 3rd fret, the 5th fret of the A string, and the 7th fret of the A string. The last 2 notes of the scale are just the 2nd and 3rd dot on the D string. So if I have 1st dot, 2nd dot, 3rd dot on the A string, and then I go 2nd dot, 3rd dot on the D string, that's the pattern. That's it. Those 5 notes. Right? That's a major pentatonic scale, and the first shape is a major pentatonic scale. So those 2 shapes are essential, and so is this 3rd one. I'm going to give you the shape for the minor pentatonic scale, which is also very easy. If I go back to my 4-fret span, this time I'm going to start with my 1st finger on that C. And if I'm using the system where I'm giving you the fingers that I'm using, then it's a very simple pattern. It's 1, 4 on the A string, and then 1, 3, 1, 3 on the D and G strings. So 1st finger, 4th finger, and then 1st finger, 3rd finger, 1st finger, 3rd finger, or 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3. This is a minor pentatonic shape. I've given you two major pentatonic shapes. The first one being 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. The second one, just use the dots. And then the third one is the minor pentatonic shape, that is 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3. So if you are new to this, then what I want you to do is just run those three shapes over and over and over again until they are locked in the muscle memory and you can just play them without thinking. Those are the three shapes. Shape 1. Shape 2, the dots. Shape 3, the minor. Now, the reason why I'm giving you these shapes this way is because those shapes are going to be the same no matter where you play them. So if I pick a random note anywhere and play that first shape, then that's a major pentatonic scale on the note D. Sorry, G. So I can play those three shapes from there. This is the first shape on G major pentatonic at the 10th fret of the A string. Then I can play the other shape. Then I can play the minor. So this is why I'm giving you the numbers, because if I give you the numbers, you can move them anywhere. If I give you the note names, then you're stuck to the note names, right? All right, so here's where things get cool. What we're going to do is combine these shapes in order to come up with larger shapes that will cover all 5 strings for the major pentatonic scale. I've given you 3 small shapes that you can remember, and now I'm going to give you 3 larger shapes that cover all 5 strings for the major pentatonic scale. I'm going to move down to the 5th fret of the low B string. That's the note E, right? So check this out. Here is an E major pentatonic scale covering all 5 strings. We're going to call this shape 1, right? Let's say 5-string shape 1. I'll come up with a better title. But here it is. Watch what happens, because this is super cool. I'm going to start by playing shape 1 of the scale that we started with, right? Which is 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. But check this out. When I play that 2, 4, 1, 4 and land on that 1, it is at this point that I can play a minor pentatonic scale, which is the shape that was 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3. So in combining those 2 shapes, the major pentatonic and the minor pentatonic, I now have a full E major pentatonic scale in one position covering all 5 strings. It sounds like this. We're going to call that shape 1. Here's what it is one more time. I play the major pentatonic, the first shape that we did, 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. But when I go 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, at this 1, I can start the minor pentatonic shape, which is 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3. And then I just run them together. This is shape number 1 for 5-string. Pretty cool, right? The second shape of the E major pentatonic scale for 5-string is going to combine the second shape of the major pentatonic with the first shape. I'll show you what I mean by that. So remember, the second shape was this one where we have the dots. I'm going to move that down to the the fifth fret of the B string and play that same shape. When I do that, what I can then do is move up to the next note, which is going to be the octave, and I can play the first shape, 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. Now, the fingering might change depending on how you start the scale from the B string. So, I play that first shape, and then maybe I'll play the first finger and go. I'm still thinking 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. But really I'm just playing that 2 with my first finger. But I'm still thinking of that shape as 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. See what I'm doing there? That's my second finger, fourth finger, first finger, fourth finger, first finger, fourth finger. But the only thing is I might substitute my first finger to allow for me to play the entire shape. So here's what it is one more time. I play that second shape of the major pentatonic that puts the first 3 notes on the same string. Right? And then follow through with the 2 notes below my last 2 notes, previous 2 notes. And then once I complete that first shape, I can play shape 1 of the major pentatonic. So that's the whole thing. So shape 2 of the major pentatonic, going to shape 1 of the major pentatonic. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if you can see, but here I'm making a point to start that second shape with my second finger. So, you can take this as slow as you want. Once you're familiar with the shape, if you find that there are more comfortable ways for you to play that, then by all means, find the way that makes it easiest for you to get through the shape. That's shape number 2. All right, so I'm going to give you one more shape, but it's the easiest one. This is going to be shape 2 of the major pentatonic scale as many times as you can. I'll show you what I mean by that. If I play that shape 2, that's like the dots basically. Like in this case, we're still playing the dots. If we start at the first fret, sorry, I keep saying the first fret. If we start at the 5th fret of the B string, that's the second dot. So I can go 2nd dot, 3rd dot, 4th dot, and then 3rd dot, 3rd dot, 4th dot. So we're just really trying to get the smaller shapes, the first 3 shapes that we started with, really get those memorized. Because once you know them, then you'll know how to move them and you'll know how to combine them so that you can play these larger scales over all 5 strings. So here's the cool thing about this one. If I play that shape and land on the E at the 7th fret of the A string, I can play the same shape again. And then here I can play those first 3 notes of the scale. So here's the shape. Here's the same shape again, starting from the 7th fret of the A string. And then I can play the shape, or the first 3 notes of the shape, now starting on the 9th fret. So now I have this larger scale that I can mess with. This is the shape that a lot of the gospel cats will use. If you hear these crazy sort of pentatonic gospel fills, it's usually based on that shape where you have that kind of thing. I'm sorry to like show off like that, but I'm just sort of demonstrating how that particular shape is used a lot. Because when you have those three notes on one string, there's this great potential to slide That's the advantage to that shape. Each shape has its own advantage. That's the third shape. The second shape that we did, that has a lot of parallel notes. So these kinds of patterns can be worked into that second shape. And then with the first shape, oops, I'm starting from the wrong place. So there are three different shapes of the same scale, and because I'm playing different shapes, each shape has its own sort of melodic characteristic associated with it. And the more you play these shapes, the more you will discover these characteristics and know how to interpret them in your own way. So I'll go over the three larger shapes again. The first one starts with the second finger at the 5th fret of the B string. And if I were to use that 4-fret span, these are the fingers that I'm using. This will be the larger shape. So it's 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3. 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3. 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3. This is the first shape. Shape 1. Shape 2 starts with that second shape of the major where the first 3 notes are on the same string, and then you follow through with the 2 notes beneath the second and third note. 1, 2, 3, and then the 2, 3 again, 1 string down. And then once I do that, I go to the 7th fret of the A string, and then I can play shape 1. 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. That's the second shape. And then the third shape is just the second shape of the major over and over again. Those are the 3 shapes. And if you can remember the smaller shapes, then to the minor, start there. Just learn those 3 smaller shapes, and then the light bulb will go off when you start to see the way those smaller shapes combine to create larger shapes that cover all 5 strings. This is shape 2. And now shape 3. I'll do that again. Shape 1. Shape 2. shape 3. And that's that. Friends and neighbors, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, then just work with those smaller shapes, the 3 smaller shapes that we worked with at the beginning of the lesson, the 2 major pentatonic shapes and the 1 minor pentatonic shapes. Get those under the fingers and locked into the muscle memory. And then remember how to combine those shapes when you start to play them over all 5 strings. Because really all we're doing is combining 2 or even just one shape and playing it across all 5 strings to create the full sound of the E major pentatonic as it lays across all 5 strings. Once you get more familiar with these larger shapes, you'll be surprised at the way the fretboard just kind of lights up, because you'll start to see these shapes as soon as you put your finger down on one note. So I hope that helps. And I'm going to leave it there, friends and neighbors. If you liked this video, please do click like. It helps the channel out in a huge way and pushes the lesson to more people who may need to hear and see it. If you would like to donate to the channel, if you are in a position to do so, that is greatly appreciated. There will be links in the description box that will help you to do so. And of course, all of the above is greatly appreciated. I am so overjoyed with all of your support, all of your comments. I read every comment. I'm not able to respond to everything because there are a lot of videos on this channel and all of those videos are being commented on like all the time. But I read every single one of them. If I don't respond, the least I will do is like click the little heart to let you know how much I appreciate it. And the channel is constantly growing and I love that. And as always, I thank you for visiting me here in the Brownstone, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Peace.